Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Education System I can't even talk. Reboot channel. Excuse me. I wanted to make hopefully a quick video, but a video about roots. And when I mean roots is the roots that we have in our life. What roots us down? What holds us firm in our convictions? The reason I wanted to make this today is it's Sunday and I was at church, and the sermon was about that concept. And over the last 3 years, but specifically this last year, again, through my personal growth journey, that metaphor has actually come up a lot for myself, but not religiously. So it just was a great reminder that if we want to change the education system, we need to focus on things that will help our students grow roots, metaphorically speaking, roots. And so the way I want to start this is really our roots are our habits. The things we choose. It could be the habits we do daily. It could be our mindset. It could be, the people we associate with. It could be a lot of different things. But ultimately, if our students are going to be prepared for the future in the way that I believe we want them to be, they need to have the ability to root themselves into something, into a system. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that for many years, religion was kind of part of that. Now we are becoming an increasingly secular society. And I'm, again, because this is geared towards education, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But I do believe, if we're being objectively honest and intellectually honest with ourselves, that for most of our history, even into the modern world, maybe even till up to about 20 years ago, religion was seen as a way that we rooted ourselves for growth, for I guess perceiving the world, and that has been shifting. Now, with that being said, okay, I'm going to try to get away from that now. But if we truly believe, which again, going back, I believe this is where most teachers are. We want our students to be successful, okay? And yet, what we do is we put all these assessments, these goals out there, okay? And yet we don't focus on how to prepare them, right? The preparation, the habits underneath. And so what tends to happen, and what I notice, okay? I'm not going to say tends to happen because I don't know. Here's what I notice. I notice that students have more anxiety now than they've ever had. I notice that students stress out or don't know how to organize their life, or they procrastinate. Now, I was a procrastinator when I was younger. I will be the first to say, but I always was able to do what needed to be done to get done with the deadline. And I don't remember feeling stressed. I never had test anxiety. Again, I don't want to analyze myself. I'm just saying there's something there when I look back that says I had some strong roots somewhere that allowed me not to get that way. There's always the analogy of, a tree that has strong roots. It's not going to be blown over in a storm, but a tree that doesn't have strong roots, that's where it falls in the storm. And if we think of the storm as the pressure of education or the pressure of life or whatever, people that can't handle life probably don't have deep roots. So with that being said, some images, or the idea is obviously, another image we could use instead of roots is an iceberg, right? We see the tip of the iceberg, but underneath there's so much there. And so that's what ultimately our students want. We want our students to become icebergs, meaning the performance up top is great, but underneath there's all these great habits that are allowing that to happen. In the sermon today, he used a metaphor about building a house. If you've ever seen a house being built, maybe near your house or near where you live, there are periods where it doesn't look like anything's getting done. It just looks the same. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you could, drive by it, a week later or 2 weeks later, and all of a sudden it's nearly complete, right? Because underneath, laying the foundation, we use that term a lot too, which is another metaphor for roots. They got to put the plumbing, they got to do all this other stuff. So it almost looks like nothing's happening, which is kind of what I think we as the education system need to be better about communicating to students, that the habits, the homework, the process, the studying, the reflecting, the better input. Just all these little habits underneath, there isn't going to be instant gratification. It is going to take a while for things to develop. But if you have stumbled upon this channel and you've seen any other videos, you will notice that one of the things I'm constantly talking about is my own journey. And over the last year, because I have been consistent and I have been intentionally creating more and more roots, okay, my life has exponentially grown. Every area of my life feels more complete, more competent. I have confidence in myself about how to handle situations, whether that's from being a father or to being a father, to being a teacher, to setting goals of dreams that I've had for a long time, to just having conversations with people, to knowing what I believe and feeling confident in that, to having more empathy. I actually, as you are more confident in yourself, you don't feel the need to impose your will or your ideas on other people because you know what you believe, right? So if anything I'm saying is resonating with you, what I want to point out is I believe we inadvertently in the education system do not create deep roots in students because we focus so much on the product, so much on the assessment, so much on this outward goal, and we don't emphasize the idea that to achieve anything of greatness in life, there is a process underneath. So the process is our roots. Looking over little notes. Yeah. So I hope this made sense. I don't think it needs to be very long, but I just, I could go down specifics. I could talk about the very specifics of what I think we could be doing, but I'll leave this to a generalized idea. Any student that has strong roots in their daily habits, in their confidence in who they are, in their values, they are going to be better students. Now, does that mean that they're all going to get A's? No, it doesn't, because we also have to recognize that students have different gifts in different areas. And the reality is, if we're so focused on results, most kids are not realizing that they're just achieving those results, and those are empty, right? Actually, I'll share something else. I said I was about to wrap up, but I'm going to share a personal thing. So growing up, looking back upon reflection, I was praised way more than probably I should have been. Not because I did anything wrong, but because I got a complex. I got this thing in my head that, well, everyone's praising me for how I'm acting. Everyone should be like me. And if I'm being honest, I probably developed a small complex. And then as I got into the real world after college, I started realizing that praise isn't normal. I was always praised. And yet what happened is I didn't necessarily have self-confidence in myself because I was always chasing the next praise, the next thing where someone would say, "Oh, you're doing a good job." And early in my teaching career, there were days I not cried, but I went home just so discouraged because I wasn't getting any praise. And I look at it as like, we should be praising kids, of course, but it needs to, again, be objectively honest. It needs to be for effort and work, not for achievement. And that's the thing. This goes back, sorry, I'm kind of circling back because my brain is now continuing to just think of things. When we praise the result, kids become result driven. When we praise the effort, even if the result wasn't as good as it could have been, but we praise the effort, kids are more inclined to keep working. And I think that in itself is the key to kind of everything I've been talking about in this channel is effort matters, right? Character, attitude, those all matter. Those are core root characteristics, values that we as the education system should adopt. And we should be finding ways to empower students. I feel a sneeze coming on. I don't like this. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me for that. Empowering kids to develop those skills as opposed to get the A. Anyway, it requires a mind change, a shift in your mindset. However, I hope that there is truth resonating with what I'm saying, because I've seen it work in my own life. I have seen, like I said, when I was younger, I was praised for my results. And so I was constantly seeking those out. It took me, I am 40 years old now. This journey, this journey that I've been describing has happened over the last 3 years. So let's just assume at 37, right? So much of my life, I was pursuing the wrong goals, the wrong ideas, the wrong objectives, I guess. And I was seeking out approval to make myself feel better versus realizing that if I know who I am, if I'm rooted in values that I believe, I become a much more confident person. I'm able to achieve so much more in my life than I ever thought possible simply because I'm working within. And that's the thing that I think is so difficult for kids to understand is The hard work is what you do inside. The hard work is the personal growth. The hard work is doing what's right even when no one's watching. That's hard to do, especially in a culture that values your feelings, how you feel, right? Your feelings are valid. And the reality is, yeah, everybody's feelings are valid, but then the question is, okay, now measure how you feel versus the values that you espouse. Is your walk and your talk in line? Okay. You can only do that through strong roots. Sorry, I think this video ended up being about twice as long as I thought, because I had that moment where like, okay, that's it. And then my brain opened up. So anyway, that's just some concepts about